we had the new Pope, first time he addressed the College of Cardinals, and he said, the reason I chose the name Pope Leo the 14th, it's because of Pope Leo the 13th. And he said something like this. Pope Leo the 13th, in his historical encyclical, which is something he wrote about social teaching of the church, he addressed the social question in the context of the first great industrial revolution. Therefore, in this time, we are facing a new industrial revolution, and therefore I am choosing the name Pope Leo the 14th. In order to understand the significance of the choice of the name and the mission of our current Pope, we may have to look a bit into the first Pope of 20th century, which is Pope Leo the 13th, and understand the context in which he was serving or preaching. It was a time of industrial revolution. People moved from agriculture to industries. Factories were coming up in cities. So a lot of the people moved from a farm, they left their farms, they went into cities to work. But there was the introduction of machines into people's lives. So because what happened because of this mass migration, the cities became very impossible to live. The situations of the workers were very dehumanizing, people living in slums. Because men left farms and families to go into factories, the families were split. People worked 12 to 16 hours for a very, very basic wage. There was exploitation of these factory owners. There was the rise of capitalism, where rich became rich and the poor stayed poor. There was suppression of workers' union. The workers were not allowed to come together and fight for their rights. And these big governments always supported the capitalist millionaires, so to say, in order to promote social integration. However, this is the same time socialism came up. The workers decided that we need support. We need someone who understands our pain. So they were attracted to things like Marxism. So there was socialism, there was capitalism. There was this oppression of workers. The dignity of human life was undermined. There was no fair wage. The situations of human life was very pathetic, and the families were split apart because of the economic pressure that was brought out by industrial revolution. And this is the time there came Pope Leo the 13th. And he said, no, as a church, we need to have the dignity of work. Work is not a curse, but it is a human vocation. We need to have a right of living wage. There is a right to form unions. There is right to private property. There is a role of the state not to oppress the vulnerable and to be friends with the rich people, but to support everyone. And then there is a sanctity of the family, because it is in the family, it is a school of love. If we split families because of economic pressures, there is no future for humanity. So Pope Leo the 13th. Now, inspired by Pope Leo the 13th, our current Pope is taking the name Pope Leo the 14th. And he says there is a new industrial revolution. What is this new industrial revolution? It is the industrial revolution of artificial intelligence. Previously, in the Industrial Revolution, it was the blue-collar jobs that was attacked. But the current Industrial Revolution that you and me facing, it is the white-collar jobs. The teachers will lose the jobs. Some of my university friends who used to be permanently employed in universities, now casually employed. They lost their jobs. The therapist will lose their jobs because we have AI therapists. They will listen to you, give you advice. Spiritual carers. There are spiritual directions done by artificial intelligence. Writers will lose their jobs. You ask ChatGPT to will write for you. Essayists will lose their jobs. People who do screenplays will lose their jobs. Office workers, accountants, all these people will lose their job. So it is an oppression of, said to say, white collar jobs. And not only that, artificial intelligence is faster, it's cheaper, it doesn't get sick, it doesn't need pension. So it is easy to employ artificial intelligence. And not only that, artificial intelligence is creeping into human relationships. Facebook last week announced they are going to create AI chat bots. What are AI chat bots? In my opinion, because they are digital, which means they don't have a body, they don't eat, they don't pee, they don't poo. So they are just a replaceable digital friends. If you have only one friend because you are not good looking, then you can accept friend requests from chatbots. They will talk to you, they will sing to you, they will massage your ego. This current industrial revolution has loneliness, disembodiment of love. And it is oppressing people by even pushing them to another economic crisis. In both this stage, church stands and proclaims that we have to love the way Christ loved. In the message of the gospel, we hear, love one another. The way Christ calls us to love is not like the artificial intelligence. Capitalism will not support it. Socialism will not support it. The neo-digitalism will not it. The woke culture of everything is fair, you can be anything, will not support it. But it's a middle way of loving with pain, loving with cost only will be the answer. Friend of mine, he's an Uber driver. Most of the Indians are Uber drivers, you know. He works in Brisbane. He rang me recently and I was talking about the same thing in another conference. And he said to me, you are very right, Father Boni, because as a worker in an AI field, they call it algorithmic control. That your preference 1, 2, 3, and then your fourth preference will be dictated by the machine. So this Uber driver, he was supposed to pick up someone and he accepted it, then his car broke down. He couldn't take that order. Second order, he had to cancel it. Third order, he had to cancel it. And what happens? The machine will delete him. It will not prioritize him, so he will not be coming up as the first priority in the Uber list. There you go. Machines don't have emotions. I was late for work because I was sick. Machines won't understand the pain. Machine will not be able to forgive. Machine will not be able to reconcile. The machine will delete. And this is the current industrial revolution where Pope Leo XIV wants to say we still have to uphold the dignity of the human person amidst the pressures of artificial intelligence. And what a way to preach this in Catholic context. Because in Catholic context, love always be in flesh and blood. There is no Catholic love without flesh and blood. Christ became the flesh of a human person. He touched us. He washed us. He died for us. He asked us to see his wounds to reconcile with us. Catholic love is always in flesh and blood. My mother is a Parkinson patient. In my last visit to India, I talked to her doctor. The doctor said, Bonnie, the capacity of your mother to produce dopamine in the brain is decreasing. So you have to induce dopamine from outside. How do you do that? The happy home, that by visiting her every now and then, taking her out, taking her to the place where she was born, bringing the nieces and nephews, bringing the children around her. And whenever I am with my mother, she can walk, she can talk, she can walk around the kitchen and whack me. She can do everything. And that is the power of human encounter. That is the power of human touch. And that is the power of love in flesh and blood. No matter the amount of FaceTime I do with my mother, the WhatsApp chat I do with my mother, the selfies that I send from Warwick, it will not suffice my presence, my touch, my sacrificial love for my mother. And this is the need of our current generation. This is the industrial, loving relations that we want to bring into our schools, our institutions, where we are alienated under the pretense of hyper connectivity. We need to reclaim the love Jesus shows us, the love in flesh and blood. When we live and love in flesh and blood, we truly in communion, not in touch, but in truly in communion with each other. Amen.